that indeed it's true there were deliveries, babies were delivered in different health facilities, namely Namutumba Health Center 2, Mitiana Hospital, and Zambia Hospital. Out of the 8 children that died, they verified 6, and the deaths occurred between 0 and 2 days from the time of delivery. The neonates were found to have presented with the following signs and symptoms. They had high fever, yellowing of the skin, and of course also difficulty in breathing before the death. The preliminary investigations established the main causes of these neonatal deaths as neonatal infection and fetal distress due to delayed labor. 4 out of the 6 deaths were due to fetal distress due to delayed labor, while the other 2 were as a result of the neonatal infections. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the risk factors identified were poor community attitude towards use of the insecticide-treated nets, where some communities claimed that they were experiencing too much heat and therefore they were not using the insecticide-treated nets. Some community leaders interviewed also revealed that some mothers use herbal medicines in addition to the medicines given at the health facilities. The district health officials, Right Honorable Speaker, have been advised to continue sensitizing the mothers on the need to report to the health facilities from the onset of labor, and also health workers urged to attend to the pregnant mothers in labor in time. The health workers at the facility have also been urged to ensure hygiene is maintained at the facility level, and this is aimed at reducing on the infections, and also ensure that mothers do not introduce herbal medicines to be applied on the baby's umbilical cords, because this is where the suspicion was also to avoid infections. Right Honorable Speaker, our teams remain in investigation mode to follow up on any mothers that deliver and ensure that these standards are actually being followed at the health facilities. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Okay, now that the member has not had the response, he cannot ask a supplementary question. Thank you. Next item. Next
item 3.2. Response by Minister on the status of pledges by the Prime Minister of India during his address to the House.
Why don't you handle the amended one?
Statement by Minister of Health on no drugs at Atipe Health Center 3 in Oyam District.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and members, Honorable Loom Santa, the woman member of Parliament for Oyam District, also raised concern on receipt of drugs, on no receipt of drugs for Atipe Health Center 3 in Oyam District. She actually indicated that they were receiving drugs for a health center 2 and not a health center 3. Right Honorable Speaker, in January 2018, the Ministry of Health received a formal request from Oyam District Local Government requesting the upgrade of 5 health facilities that included Atipe Health Center 2. Subsequently, in March 2018, we approved this request and sent an engineering team led by the engineer Jojo team to ascertain whether Atipe Health Center 2 conforms to the required Health Center 3 standards, since it was constructed by partners. The teams established that they actually meet the criteria, and of course, Right Honorable Speaker, on 23rd January 2019, the Atipe Health Center 2 was officially inaugurated as a Health Center 3. However, Right Honorable Speaker, this was after the budget for the year 2019-2020 had been finalized. So, Right Honorable Speaker and members, Atipe Health Center 3, it is true, receives essential medicines and supplies to a tune of 8.394 million, which we note is actually for a health center 2. So, Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to assure the Honorable Member that in the financial year 2020-21, we are going to increase funding for the essential medicine and supplies to a tune of 23 million for this health center in order for this health facility to be functionalized as a health center 3. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Oyam, any supplementary question?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable. Thank you, Honourable Minister. Right Honourable Speaker, as I said the other time, this is the only health center, 3 that we have. And besides that, the World Vision has really put in a lot of money with the promise that this will function as a health center 3. So the supplementary question that I would like to ask the Honourable Minister, given the surrounding situation, wouldn't it be easier for you when the supplementary budget comes to really address this problem?
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, we need to negotiate with the Ministry of Finance, and it's not only Latipe, because when you start it, then you have to do it for all the others. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to request the Honourable Member, we are not far away from the next financial year. Please, please.
But Right Honourable
still
Speaker,
on the floor.
As I was walking in, you were saying that we are getting about, is it 8 or 9 million? But what I got on the ground is that we are only getting 4 million, instead of not even the 8 you are talking about. So that's why it's my humble plea that really, with all the problems, as you know, in the health sector, and as far as that health facility is concerned, we pray and we really beg that you do something as a ministry.
Right Honourable Speaker, the 4.7 million is non-wage for operations at the facility level. The 8 million that I'm talking about is for the medicines and other supplies. So it's not true that you are receiving 4. 4 is what goes to them. The other budget for medicines, as you all know, goes to the National Medical Stores. However, let us see how to handle, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Item 3.2, response by Minister on the status of pledges by the Prime Minister of India during his address to the House on 25th July 2018.
Do we have a response from the government on this? I don't see the Minister in charge of general duties in the office of the Prime Minister. Yesterday she requested that she would come today to respond to this. I don't see her here. Can we take the next item?
Item number 4, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019, Bills Committee stage.
I think we first need a brief because there was a report that we are going to the Committee of Supply straight, and you'll deal with the figures from there. But are there preliminary things you want to brief the House before we go to supply? Chair?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The committee had to do the reconciliation of the figures. And you take note, the House should take note that on 28th March 2018, Parliament passed a resolution authorizing funds to be spent to a tune of 1,325,255,000. So again, on 19th June, Parliament approved a total supplementary expenditure of 377 under supplementary schedule number 3. So the committee scrutinized the Hansard and the reports of the approved figures and found that generally they conform, but there are some amendments to be made, which we propose we can handle at committee stage. I beg to report.
How many amendments were you proposing?
There are quite around 12.
About 5?
There are 13 for recurrent expenditure and 1 for development expenditure, and the totals.
Okay, just for clarity, that when we go to Committee of Supply, we're able to deal with this properly.
Yes.
Did you compare the figures with the schedule that were already approved by the House?
We did.
And there are variation with the figures that are in the bill?
Yes, there are variations. For example, Right Honorable Speaker, there is monies which have been in the appropriations bill for vote 014, Minister of Health, of 1.3 trillion. That money was not voted for, approved for Minister of Health. It was for nodding disease, which went direct to hospitals and districts. So we have to appropriate to the votes the funds went to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
So, Honorable Member, I think we are clear. We can now go to Committee of Supply. Please call Committee of Supply.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I put the question that clause 1 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it. So call the schedule.
The schedule to the bill.
Schedule, Mr. Chairman, anything on the schedule to the bill? And I really wish the Honorable Minister of Finance was here to guide, but since he's not here, we'll go with what the committee has brought.
Right Honorable Speaker, on page 4 of the bill, that's vote 014. Page 4 of the bill, vote 014.
014.
We recommend that we delete that because no funds were voted for vote 014. Those funds will be allocated in the votes where the monies went.
The relevant votes.
The relevant votes, which we have taken care of.
Honorable members, the proposal is that the allocation under vote 014 be deleted. I put the question that motion to that proposal. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. There is have it. Next, Chair, now you're in charge because it's the schedule.
Chair, on page 7, on page 7 of the bill, we propose a deletion of vote 144, Uganda Police Force. Page 7 of the bill, vote 144.
Yes.
It's redundant and it has no monies indicated.
Oh, there is no figure assigned to it?
No figure, and there was no money voted at the same time.
Honorable members, the motion is for deletion of vote 144 from the schedule to this bill. I put the question, those in favor to the contrary, no. Ayes have it. Honorable members, can we participate in this process? I am assuming that we know what is going on. Chair, next.
Next, Right Honorable Speaker, we propose immediately after that to insert vote 145.
Yes.
We voted 17 billion as recurrent expenditure for Uganda prisons. However, all the money was inserted as development expenditure on page 18. So we have to pick 17 billion back to the recurrent. So that's why we have to insert vote 145 for Uganda prisons.
And the
an amount of 17 billion Uganda shillings, 17 billion.
Honorable members, that is correcting the record, moving the amount that was appropriated by us, but wrongly assigned under development expenditure when it should be under recurrent expenditure. The purpose for bringing this vote 145 under this particular provision is that, to cure that anomaly. I'll put the question that amendment that the new vote be part of this schedule. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Chairman, we also on page 7 propose just after 155 to amend and include vote 165. We include vote 165, Gulu Regional Referral Hospital, an amount of 110,628,000. That was voted for nodding disease interventions.
Honorable members will recall that we deleted the provisions under vote
014.
014, which was Ministry of Health, and I think the understanding was that this money was sent to the Ministry of Health, which is not true because it was actually sent directly to the districts, so that was not properly captured here. Now, this is the first coming up for Gulu Regional Referral Hospital. I put the question that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Chairman, we go to page 9, vote 301. We make a correction there. It's where there is Libya, it's Lira University.
Lira, yes. Honorable members, the proposal did the word Libya and in its place put Lira because that's actually what is referred to here. I put the question to that. Will those in favor say to the contrary no? The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. Chair, we go to page 10. Immediately after vote 504, we need to introduce vote 508, Gulu District Local Government. Gulu District Local Government, an amount of 80 million.
How much?
78 million, 470,000 shillings. 78 million, page 10.
Of the bill.
Of the bill, we're introducing Gulu District Local Government, which received 78,470,000 shillings. That's what's approved.
Okay, honorable members, this is the same with that of the vote for Gulu Regional Referral Hospital. I put the question that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Chair, on page 11 of the bill, vote 527, the bill has 1,008,597,000 shillings. However, there was funds also allocated for nodding disease, which we have to bring in play, 267,292,000. So we amend the figure to read 1,275,889,000 shillings as the total figure for vote 527, Kitgum district.
Okay, that's clear. The purpose is clear. Honourable members, I put that amendment. Those in favour say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Chair, we also have vote 531, still on page 11. There was supposed to be an addition of the nodding disman of 34,619,000.
For what vote is that? 531?
Vote 531. Vote 531.
Which vote is that? 531.
531 Lira district.
Okay.
The correct amount now should be 507,416,000.
Honourable members, the reasons are similar. I put the question that amendment. Those in favour say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Chair, on page 12. Under vote 547, we have an amendment of the figure because there was an additional 324,516,000 for Padere district for nodding disease. So the total now comes to 1 billion I beg your pardon, Chair. Yes, 1,004,306,000.
Honourable members, the reason is clear. I put the question to that amendment. Those in favour say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
We have on page 13, vote 570. Amuru District Local Government. There was an addition of 78,300,000 also to cater for the nodding disease syndrome, thus bring the right figure now to 474,286,000 shillings.
Honourable members, I put that amendment. Those in favour say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
On page 14, Chair, vote 585.
585, Lamoa District. Correct? 585, Lamoa District.
Yes, Chair.
Yes?
Lamoa District had 37626 step. There is an addition of 175,151,000, bringing the total to 551,411.
500?
411. 551,411,000.
Honourable members, I put the question that amendment. Those in favour say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Chair, I would like to take you back to page 13. I beg your pardon, I missed page 13. Under vote 571, we insert a line for vote 572, Oyamu District.
572.
572, Oyamu District also received money for nodding disease. That's 36,552,000 shillings.
Honourable members, the proposal is to insert that new vote. What vote is it? 572.
572, Oyamu District.
This schedule for Oyamu District. I put the question to that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Chair, we go to page 15 under vote 615. Omoro District. They also received an addition of 219,727,000 shillings. So bringing the total to 1,909,178. I beg your pardon. 1,909,178,000 shillings.
I put the question to that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Chair, on page 18, vote 145, Uganda Prison Service. You recall we have transferred 17 billion to recurrent, so therefore it leaves that with 1 billion shillings.
Honorable members, I put the question to that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
That's the final amendment to the schedule, possibly the totals. There was an amendment to the total.
Okay.
We amend the overall total.
We start with recurrent.
We start with the recurrent. Recurrent expenditure is 957 billion 39 million 843,000.
But we don't have a total in the bill.
They had a global total.
Where?
At the end. They had 1709.
No, but that's not a global total. That's only for...
That was the whole total, both development and recurrent.
Oh, I see, okay.
That's what the bill had given.
So the total is?
The total now should be 1,709,000,000.
1 billion?
1,709,431,000,000. I beg your pardon, Chair. 1,790,431,310,000.
Okay. Now remember that is amendment now to the grand total of the summation of both recurrent and development expenditure. I put the question to that amendment. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
The schedule as amended.
I now put the question that the schedule as amended stands as the schedule to this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
The title to the bill.
I now put the question that title. I don't need to. I think we have a figure on the long title. There's a figure on the long title that needs to be amended. Will be consequential now. Okay, I think the figure on the long title of the bill will be a consequential amendment that the drafting people will have to insert. Title to the bill, I put the question that the title to this bill remain as title to the bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Motion for the House to resume.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the House do resume and the Committee of Supply do report thereto.
Honorable members, the motion is for resumption of the House to enable the Committee of Supply report. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary no. The ayes have it.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as we move to commit this bill for the third reading, I would like, Right Honorable Speaker, with a lot of humility, to implore you to ask the Minister of Finance to execute or to enforce the decision taken by Parliament the last time we took a decision on a similar matter. It was decided that the head of the technical team in the Ministry of Finance should come and make a public apology from the bar, because these problems seem to be continuing every year. Last time you took a decision on this matter, Right Honorable Speaker, you were very strong on the matter, and you told the minister that this mistake should not be repeated again, and he pledged not to repeat it again. But the minister was able to share with the budget committee that is normally failed by his technical team. And I remember the last time when you shared a session like this, the Parliament actually took a decision that the technical person, the head of the technical team, who is the secretary to the Treasury, should come and make a public apology from the bar. So while we are now going to complete this exercise.
From the bar of Parliament, for clarity.
From the bar of Parliament, yes. Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. From the bar of Parliament. So, Right Honorable Speaker, as we proceed to conclude this, we don't want to carry the baggage to the next year, because next year it will be the same thing. The minister is always very humble. He comes and apologizes, and he pledges not to do it again. But again, the technical team have continued to defy the decision of Parliament, and as such, this problem will continue. So can we put it to the rest, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Secretary to the Treasury will come and make a public apology? I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Clerk, please extract the records as decided previously, communicate to the affected officer, and we'll pick it from there. Okay? Thank you, because that decision was made already. Thank you.
Report from the Committee of Supply.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of Supply has considered the bill entitled the Supplemental Appropriation Bill 2019 and passed it with amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report from the Committee of Supply.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the report from the Committee of Supply be adopted.
Honorable members, the motion is for adoption of the report of the Committee of Supply. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. There is have it.
Bill third reading.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019 be read the third time and do pass.
Honorable members, the motion is that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2019 be read for the third time and do pass. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. There is have it.
The Supplementary Appropriation Act 2019.
Congratulations, Honorable Minister. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Members of the committee, thank you. Good. Thank you for a good job done. And both the chair and the Honorable Minister should be able to thank the members for. Yes, next item. Thank you. Procedure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg your kind indulgence. I raised a matter on this floor of Parliament of national importance a month ago over a very urgent matter regarding bad roads in Agago district. And Mr. Speaker, this was about the road from Konakilak via Adilang to Abim, which is very much in a very sorry state, impassable. and the road passing from Luke Bridge to Buluji, in between there via Patongo and Kalongo, and the road passing from Adilang to Namukora via Paimol, Lapono, and Omia Pachua. Mr. Speaker, it was directed by your chair that the minister in charge of works and sport and transport, you know I'm a sports person, so Mr. Speaker, it was directed that the Minister of Works and Transport reports 2 days after. But now it is 1 month. I have not received any response, and as we speak now, whether public or private transport is not able to pass through the road, especially between Adilang and Patong, and between Lokole and Kalongo, which is our main hospital, Mr. Speaker. So I really beg to Kalongo Hospital, which is the only hospital we have around there. So, Honorable Speaker, I really beg your guidance on how we should proceed over matters of this kind, really.
Honorable Ministers, this matter came as an urgent matter that should have been dealt with promptly. Now it is a month since it was raised, and we have no reason why the delay. You want to say something about this?
Yes. Acting Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I first want to apologize for the delay of the response to the honorable member, but also the fact that we have not attended to this urgent issue. I want to promise that the Minister of Works will tomorrow attend to this issue, not only coming to the House to update, but I think something should be done about that situation.
Okay, honorable members, honorable member will expect this response tomorrow in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. Please be there. Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation of leaders from Agago district, local government. They are represented in the House by Honorable Ogangala Tigo Morris, and Honorable Tom Mahmoud, and Honorable Akelo Judith Franca. They are here to observe the proceedings. Please join me in welcoming them. Where are they? Leaders from Agago, you are welcome. In the public gallery this afternoon also, we have pupils and teachers of Kalongo Girls Primary School from Agago district. They're here to represent the Honorable Ogangala Tigo, Honorable Judith Akelo Franca. Please join me in welcoming them. You are very, very welcome. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 5, Bill second reading, the Law Revision Bill 2019.
Honorable members, this motion for second reading was moved, spoken to, and question proposed for debate. And to kick off our debate, we deferred the matter to allow the chair of the committee to come and report. Mr. Chairman.
Hey, what's happened? Then remain there. Don't come back, remain there.
Order.
Humor is good.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Law Revision Bill is a government bill. I believe that the government side is
where you are, so remain there.
You also know, when the motion was read, the chair of the committee was not here, so I guess he's just paying you in the same currency. So proceed.
Most obliged, Your Right Honorable Speaker. And this matter, this bill was introduced on the 23rd of May, 2019, and this House referred it to the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee for scrutiny, pursuant to Rule 128 of our Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to request that you permit me, I read the abridged version of the report, but we have the minutes of the proceedings and the report itself, which I beg to lay as but refer to the abridged version. Right Honorable Speaker, the object of the bill is to provide for the revision of laws by the Law Reform Commission. The bill is further intended to empower the Attorney General to cut off the dates for enactments to be contained in the law revision, and to appoint the dates for the coming into force of the revised editions. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, law revision is in itself is the process of updating law without changing its substance. It is aimed at presenting the law in its correct form at any given time, thus facilitating the administration of justice, law enforcement, legal education, research, law reform, efficient use of the law, and access to justice. Right Honorable Speaker, in Uganda, the body that is charged with law reform is the Uganda Law Reform Commission, as established under Article 248 of the Constitution and the Law Reform Commission Act, Cap 2.5, the laws of Uganda. The Law Reform Commission is directed in Section 10 of the Law Revision Act to, among others, study and keep under constant review the acts and other laws comprising the laws of Uganda, with a view to making recommendations for their systematic improvement, development, modernization, and reform, with a particular emphasis on the elimination of anomalies in the law. Repeal of, and also they are mandated to repeal of obsolete and unnecessary laws, and the simplification and translation of the law. The reflection in the laws of Uganda of the customs, values, and norms of society, in as well as concepts consistent with the United Nations Charter for Human Rights and the Charter of Human Rights and People's Rights of the Organization for African Unity, as well as the development of new areas in the law by making them responsive to the changing needs of society in Uganda. In scrutinizing this bill, the committee interacted with highly technical stakeholders, such as the mover of the bill, the Attorney General, the Uganda Law Reform Commission, the Uganda Law Society, among others, given the technical nature of the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee therefore established that there is a definite need for the law revision in Uganda, such as the need to keep the country's legislation updated, modernized, and essential. The law book of a country is a living organ which evolves over time through amendment or repeal. The constant legislative changes made in the law by repeals and amendments necessitates the periodic revision of the law as a means of providing users and implementers of the law with an updated version that reflects the changes made from time to time. Right Honorable Speaker, further, some changes may appear as a result of decisions by court cases where the courts declare certain provisions of the law null and void. In other instances, regional and international obligations binding on the state necessitate certain changes in the law to conform to the obligations contained in the conventions. Where court decisions have affected the law, unless Parliament amends that particular law to represent the position of the law as decided by court, the law as contained on the law book will stand as it was enacted by Parliament without reflecting the changes made by court. These laws include the Succession Act, Cap 162, the Witchcraft Act, Cap 124, the Penal Code Act, Cap 120, and many other laws. This necessitates a revision of that law to reflect the change made to it. These are but just a few reasons the committee established as the need for this law, for this bill. I implore this House to refer to the comprehensive report of the committee, which is uploaded on the iPads. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me mention that whereas the Attorney General is given powers to order the preparation of a revised edition, the bill does not prescribe what happens when the Attorney General does not exercise the power. The committee notes that there is need to have the law books of Uganda revised, particularly in order for the law book to be updated. The committee notes that most jurisdictions within the Commonwealth carry out a law revision exercise specified in the specified periods, ranging from 5 to 10 years. Of great concern to the committee was the establishment that whereas the Law Reform Commission is empowered to study and keep under constant review the acts and other laws comprising the laws of Uganda, with a view to making recommendations for their systematic improvement, development, modernization, and reform, it has not produced a revised law book of Uganda since the year 2000. Mr. Speaker, the exercise could not take place simply because the existing law had put in place a cutoff of 31st December 1995, meaning that although the Law Reform Commission could carry out its law reform function, it could not produce a revised law book since the cutoff point as prescribed in the laws, and in bracket, Revised Edition Act, had expired. It is the opinion of the committee that putting in place a revolving cutoff date would remedy the anomaly in the law. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, these recommendations and many more are contained in the report, which is in the possession of members. I implore ourselves to refer to it. We also have made a few proposed amendments that I will present at the appropriate time. I beg to report. Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable members, the question has been proposed maybe for purposes of reminding you. The motion that I now propose for your debate is that the bill entitled the Law Revision Bill 2019 be read for the second time. That is the motion for your debate. The committee has reported, and debate should start now, each member taking 3 minutes. Yes, Budadiri West.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am raising a procedural issue. In 2015, a bill entitled The Law Revision Penalties in Criminal Matters, Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2015, was before Parliament. And this bill was by the woman MP of Sorot Municipality then, not municipality, Sorot, of Serere, Honorable Alice Alasso of Sorot District then. Now, I am hearing the Law Revision Penalties and Criminals Matter Bill of 2019. My procedure I'm raising, what of these two bills, what happened to the first one, and how do we proceed given the fact that we have of 2015 and 2016, and rather 2019, yet the 2015 was saved?
That one was passed. That one related revision of penalties in criminal matters. I think Honorable Segona presented it very well, and this Parliament passed it 2-3 weeks ago. Now this one is about law revision, revising the laws. It has nothing to do with the penalties that were contained in the previous bill. That other one was already passed, so this is a new one. And, we're proceeding very well. Honorable Member for Budadiri West, we are proceeding
Mr. Speaker, I need your help. This is law revision also.
Yes, law revision is a function of the Law Reform Commission, but the law that's in its existence, which is the law revision. No, the one that under which, okay, so, no, Laws Revised Edition Act. There's the Laws Revised Edition Act, which is the authority under which they have been appointing commissioners to revise laws, and that was last done in the year 2000. These volumes were done in the year 2000. There has been no other revision since then. And the committee has just reported that there is a gap in legislation because that previously provided a deadline, a timeline, which was in 1995. So they could not do anything. Now the purpose of this is to empower the Law Reform Commission and the Office of the Attorney General to be able to commission the revision of laws, our old sets of laws, bind them in new volumes like this, and call them now Laws of Uganda, maybe 2020. Because this one is 2000. So the functions are different. Okay? Is that clear? If you recall, this particular volume, actually they had to appoint special commissioners because the law would not allow. They appointed Vastina Rukimirana in Sanze and Ms. Ann Bedson, some American lady. I worked with them that time. I was working for the Law Reform Commission. So they had to specifically appoint commissioners for law revision for them to carry out the function of revising laws. But now they're saying that function should be done by the Law Reform Commission and the Office of the Attorney General. So that's what this one is about. Are we together?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for that guidance. Given the fact that that is in that line, you can see the House was more or less in the same category with me. And
you can't even talk about it.
yeah, when you are saying debate, nobody is coming. Wouldn't it be procedural right that you allow us? We defer this to tomorrow, so that we refocus, and then we come when we are ready. I'm sure.
It's a very bright thing.
Actually, on the contrary, the proper procedure we should adopt is to put the question. So that we go and look at the provisions of the bill. Because you see, this is empowering the process of revising and publication of laws. The principle is clear. This was last done in 2000. And because there is no enabling law for them to do it again, probably if we do this, the next one now will be 2020. 2020. So because there's no principle to debate. Can I put the question to this motion for second reading? Then we deal with the amendments as proposed by the committee. Thank you. Honorable members, I put the question that the bill entitled the Law Revision Bill 2019 be read for the second time. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
The Bills Committee stage, Law Revision Bill 2019. The Law Revision Bill 2019, Clause 1.
Clause 1. Clause 1 is interpretation. Could we stand that over and come back to it?
Clause 2.
Clause 2, Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair, we propose under Clause 2, in subclause 1, to insert the words on the consultation of the Commission, and immediately after the word shall. Immediately after subclause 1, we are proposing that insert the following new subclause and renumber the subclauses accordingly. Quote, notwithstanding subsection 1, the Attorney General shall ensure that a revised edition is prepared every 10 years from the date of the last revised edition. 3. In subclause 2, insert the following new paragraph immediately after paragraph D. A. The clerk to Parliament or his or her representative. The justification to require the consultation of the Law Reform Commission before the Attorney General orders the preparation of a revised edition in recognition of the functions and powers granted to it under Section 10 and 11 of the Law Reform Commission Act. The Law Reform Commission is obligated to keep the laws of Uganda under review at all times, and the committee is aware that a revision of law is preceded by a law review exercise. 2, to include the clerk to Parliament among the persons to assist the Commission in preparing the revised edition in recognition of the clerk's role as the custodian of Parliament's information and documents, and will be instrumental in explaining the rationale for various enactments that are being revised. To impose an obligation on the Attorney General to prepare a revised edition periodically.
The periodical is 10 years. Honorable members, you have listened to the amendment. Can I put the question as amendments? Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 2 as amended.
I now put the that clause 2 as amended stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye to the, those in favor say aye to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
Clause 3. Chair.
For clause 3, we propose that is substituted by the following. 3. Attorney General to approve printing and publication of revised edition. 1, subclause 1 on that. The Commission shall, after a revised edition is prepared, submit the revised edition to the Attorney General for approval. Subclause 3. 2. The Attorney General may, upon receipt of the revised edition in subsection 1, approve the revised edition or any volume of it and order by a statutory instrument the printing and publication of the revised edition. 3. An instrument made under subsection 1 shall be laid before Parliament for information. Justification: to require the Attorney General to approve the revised edition before the same are laid before Parliament in order to give them legal validity. 2. To require that the statutory instrument is laid in Parliament for information purposes, since currently Parliament does not have a mechanism for reviewing statutory instruments. The proposal to lay the revised edition in Parliament for the nullification of Parliament will be redundant and impractical.
A clarification would be the member to allow.
Mr. Speaker, the chairman is saying that the Attorney General may, if they have revised the laws and they are in line, why should it be may? It should be shall. If unless he has an issue of amendment on what the reform has presented. May means he can refuse to do anything.
Information, there's no member holding the floor, honorable member. How do we process it now? The Attorney General, in the proposed new subclause 2, the Attorney General may, upon receipt of the revised edition in subsection 1, approve the revised edition or any volume of it and order by statutory instrument the printing and publication of the revised edition. Contention is in the word may.
Mr. Chairperson, the usage of the word may is justified for the reason that this article gives options. He may approve the revised edition or any volume of it
No, I think the key word is in subclause 1. It's saying it will submit the revised edition to the Attorney General for approval.
Yes.
Yes, but you see, it's only upon approval. That's why the may comes in. Because if he doesn't approve, then you cannot command him to do it.
Well, after approval.
Yes, because you are supposed to first approve under subsection 1.
I have no objection.
And then the may now comes operational because they've given you the latitude to approve or not to approve. So it becomes may. So may is properly there.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. Can we now put the question to this, please? Can I put the question? There is no controversy, honorable members. I'll put the question. The proposal is to delete the existing clause 3 and in its place put what the chairperson has proposed. Can I put the question to those amendments as proposed by the chair? Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 3 as amended.
I now put the question that clause 3 as amended stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Clause 4. Chair.
Clause 4, substitute for clause 4 the following. 4, bringing a revised edition into force. That's the heading. 1, the Attorney General shall, by statutory instrument, appoint a date on which...
What did you move the House to do? What are you proposing?
We are proposing that subclause 4 be substituted.
Okay.
As follows. The Attorney General bringing, that's the heading, bringing a revised edition into force. 1, subclause 104. The Attorney General shall, by statutory instrument, appoint a date on which the revised edition shall come into force. Subclause 2 or 4. An instrument made under subsection 1 shall be laid before Parliament for information. Justification. The proposal to have another annulment process in clause 4, in addition to the one prescribed in clause 3, is unnecessary, since Parliament has already had an opportunity to give views on the revised edition. In addition, a consequential amendment arising from the amendment of clause 3, which amendment required the Attorney General to approve the revised edition before the same are laid before Parliament in order to give them legal validity. Finally, on that, to require that the statutory instrument is laid in Parliament for information purposes, since currently Parliament does not have a mechanism for reviewing statutory instruments. The proposal to lay the revised edition in Parliament for the nullification of Parliament will be redundant and impractical.
But Chair, we have had other provisions which we have passed. Allows for parliamentary approval of instruments. We have done that. No, that's not the reason I'm saying that. The reason I'm saying that is those 3 instances where Parliament receives statutory instrument. In this case, they are being clear that it will only be for information, because the substance of it is that we are now publishing this, and the instrument publishing this set of laws is this, and is laid before Parliament for information. But that is not to say because there are no mechanisms for doing this, because we have been passing the other ones which are subjected to parliamentary approval and sent to the committee that handled the bill to process the instrument and come back. Probably in the next revision of our rules, we might have to create a mechanism for dealing with the statutory instruments of this nature, the annulment procedures and all those things, so that we know that if an instrument must be approved by Parliament, who does it and what processes take place in doing that. So, honourable members, I think this is clear. Can I put the question to amendment? The proposal is to delete existing clause 4 and in its place put what the chairperson has read. I put the question to that amendment. Will those in favour say aye, to the contrary, no? The ayes have it.
Clause 4 as amended.
I now put the question that clause 4 as amended stands part of this bill. Will those in favour say aye, to the contrary, no? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
Clause 5, I put the question that clause 5 stands part of this bill. Those in favour say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
Clause 6, I put the question that Clause 6 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. Honourable members, are we participating in this process? Even the mover of the bill is not participating. Yes.
Clause 7.
The ayes have it in Clause 6. Clause 7, I put the question that Clause 7 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8, I put the question that Clause 8 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put the question that Clause 9 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
Clause 10, that stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
Clause 11, that Clause 11 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
Clause 12, I put the question that Clause 12 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 13.
That Clause 13 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary, no. On 13?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, Clause 13 is talking about permanent secretaries. Are you telling us that there are entities which have secretaries? There are entities which have, I think, even executive directors, whatever the case. I wanted to move an amendment on that instead of saying either permanent secretary stroke accounting officers, the justification that there are some instances where instead of a permanent secretary, it's a secretary or another person.
Accounting officer as financial. This has to do with implementation of legislation.
Mr. Chairman, every MDA belongs to a particular ministry, and every ministry has a permanent secretary. So it suffices to limit this activity to permanent secretaries.
Because it's the head of the administration of that sector.
Mr. Chairman, Education Service Commission is headed by a secretary. Health Service Commission is headed by a secretary.
They're under the ministries.
So, yes, they're not under ministries. Those are self-entities. I think we would say either permanent secretary or head of institution. The justification, because he knows what I'm saying. There are instances, supposing it is the Health Service Commission, I say, since I'm a secretary, I have nothing. It's not a big issue. So that we should really take care of.
Honourable Chair, I get the concern of the Honourable Member from Budadiri. But is this saying that the secretaries to the Health Service Commission, to Judicial Service Commission, to Judiciary, are they not permanent secretaries? They are permanent secretaries by all stretch of legal imagination of the law. And this is not, these are constitutional matters that we can't reduce it to have another meaning here. The moment we have permanent secretary stroke secretary, that will be a different meaning. That's my limited knowledge of that.
Can I now put the question to this? It's a permanent secretary. Clerk to Parliament is a permanent secretary. Secretary to the Judiciary is a permanent secretary. Secretary to Defense is a permanent secretary. Yes? West Budama North.
Chair, the clarification I was seeking is that now we are getting two contradicting positions. The Attorney General is telling us that all those secretaries fall under a permanent secretary and is the advisor, the legal advisor to government. And now we are getting another position that actually even those are also permanent secretary within their own rights. So I'm now getting confused. I need a clarification from the legal advisor to government to tell us really what is the true position. Because now we are getting two contradicting positions.
Attorney General.
Mr. Chairman, I clarified that every MDA is under ministry and every ministry has a permanent secretary. But some departments, some commissioners, for example, have permanent secretaries. The example in point is the judiciary. The judiciary has a permanent secretary, stroke secretary to the judiciary. The Education Service Commission has a permanent secretary. Yes. So even if there is a secretary or there is no secretary, that particular entity falls under a particular ministry. Whether there is a permanent secretary, he will report in accordance with this provision. Where there is no permanent secretary, and there is only a secretary or some other accounting officer, he will fall under the ministry.
Can I put the question to this now? It's clear. I put the question. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
Clause 14, I put the question that clause 14 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 15.
That clause 15 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 16.
That clause 16 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
That clause 17 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
I put the question that clause 18 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Clause 1, I put the question that clause 1 stands part of this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
The title.
I now put the question that title to this bill stands as title to this bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Motion for the House to resume.
Honorable Land Attorney General.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that the House do resume and the Committee of Supply
Committee of the whole House.
Of the whole House reports there too.
Honorable members, the motion is for resumption of the House to enable the Committee of the whole House report. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
What do you think about money? Professor only thinks about money. Committee of Supply.
I was wondering which figures had come in the course of, maybe he was reading the clauses as figures for money.
What's up?
Report from the Committee of the whole House.
Attorney General.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered a bill entitled the Law Revision Bill and passed it.
Law Revision Bill 2019.
2019, and passed it with main amendments. I beg to move.
Report from the Committee of the whole House. Sorry, motion for adoption of the reports of the Committee of the whole House.
Honorable Land Attorney General.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to report.
You beg to move now.
I beg to move that the report from the Committee of the whole House be adopted.
Honorable members, the motion is for adoption of the report of the Committee of the whole House. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Bill third reading.
Honorable Land Honorable Attorney General. Land Attorney General.
Bill third reading.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled the Law Revision Bill 2019 be read the third time and do pass.
Honorable members, the motion is that the bill entitled the Law Revision Bill 2019 be read for the third time and do pass. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor say to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act entitled the Law Revision Act 2019.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Land Attorney General, for this. Chairman, thank you, and give our great thanks to your committee members for processing this and enabling us to pass this. Thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 6, Bill second reading, the National Graduate Scheme 2018.
The Honorable Majegere from Bunya.
Bulldozer. Bulldozer.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, sir, I beg that the bill entitled the National Graduate Scheme, Bill 2018, be read for the second time.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Kelak, Kumi Municipality, Igara, Agago. It's not Nakasongola. Okay, Nakasongola. Even the chairman is seconding the motion. Busongora, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The
microphone.
Yeah, Right Honourable Speaker. This bill intends to establish a national graduate service scheme with a secretariat which will do the operations and management and administration of the scheme, and it intends to bridge the gap between the school life or the school world and the working world. It intends to provide employment training for the youth through work-related learning. Right now, Speaker, this bill intends to create or to enhance graduate employability and self-employment through career guidance, job placement, mentoring, and connection to enterprise role models. It intends to enhance the technical capacity of graduates over and above their qualifications, achievements prior to their employment. Right now, Speaker, the bill intends to provide mechanism or avenue through which experience, practical skills, patriotism, volunteerism, discipline, hard work, profession, attitude, and social responsibility can be imparted to the graduates prior to their employment. Right now, Speaker, the bill still further intends to provide graduates with opportunities to have practical exposure and a wide networking. It enables youth to provide rare technical and professional services to the communities that nurture them. It closes the gap of low absorption capacity due to low staffing levels. Right now, Speaker and colleagues, you might be aware that every month, every year, on average, 150 billion is returned to the Treasury. And the technical word they use is that low staffing levels. There are no human resource to utilize those resources. And lastly, right now, Speaker, the bill intends to create an up-to-date record of stock of graduates for better planning of Uganda. Honorable colleagues, nobody here in our government of Uganda knows the statistics, the number of graduates we churn out every year. Not even the Ministry of Education, not even the National Bureau of Statistics, not even the Higher Council for Higher Education Council. So this bill is going to enable the government to have the statistics so that it can plan, because there is no way, right now, Speaker, you can plan for the unknown, for for something you don't know. So this bill intends, in brief, to do all that. And I just beg honorable colleagues that on the government bench that we support this bill so that we enable our younger women and men who are stranded, who are seated idle in the villages. Right now, Speaker, it is saddening that a parent has educated his young girl, his younger boy, and at the end of it, is seated with this younger man at home. But remember, the parents sold the land, the parents sold the goats. Now the parent is frustrated, and the younger man is also frustrated. It is so common in the villages, right, Honourable Speaker. Even in towns, Honourable Minister, thank you for that support. The youth, somebody walks on the street 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and at the end of it, they are asking for experience. And all of us here, we know that there is no school for experience, right, Honourable Speaker. So this bill intends to cure all this. So the government bench, honourable colleagues, I beg that we look at this bill, debate it positively, objectively, and we support, because it intends to empower government to ensure that it deploys these young men and women to institutions, both government and the private entities. I beg to move, right, to now speak.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, the motion that I now propose for your debate is that the bill entitled the National Graduate Scheme Bill 2018 be read for the second time. And to kick off our debate, I'll ask the chair to report.
Right on, Speaker. Right on, Speaker. And on members, we have a minor technical problem. And I have begged the House to bear with us. We completed consideration of this bill. We consulted all relevant stakeholders. But yesterday, I was informed by technical people that they need some 3 more days to complete the polishing of the report. Therefore, right on, Speaker and all members, I beg you to give us more time so that we present the report next week on Tuesday, without further delays, without procrastinations. I beg you.
Honourable members, in the absence of the report of the committee, a committee which has already done the work, in the absence of the report, will not be able to proceed, but the motion is moved for second reading and spoken to. And when it comes back on Tuesday, the ministers responsible for the sector should be in the House to be able to deal with the questions that may arise in the course of the debate, so that we don't delay again this matter any longer. So this matter is deferred to Tuesday next week, where it will be handled and completed. Thank you, Honourable Member for Bunya East, for the initiative. Now it's here, so we will finish it. Okay. Thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 7. Motion for resolution of Parliament urging government to devise long-term means of stopping the rampant murders and robberies suffered by border riders.
Honourable members, you will recall that this matter was debated and several matters were raised, but it was due for conclusion, but some issues were raised that required a response from the security section of the government. I think the Minister of Internal Affairs is here and would like to give some responses, then we'll take a decision on this matter. Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, first of all, I want to state right from the beginning that in the prayers of this motion, urging government to take steps to curb and stop the killings of the borders, we have no problem, and we welcome the urging, because the border industry is now one of the big industries earning income for our small-scale earners and those who have funds to invest in the transport industry. But also, it's an important industry which is providing a service which others could not afford otherwise. However, by the time this motion was moved, government had already taken some of the steps which we believe as government in the long run should be able to improve the security of the border riders and indeed owners and those who are being carried. Colleagues will recall that for most of last year and this year, His Excellency the President concerned himself personally with the issue of security in this country. He addressed this parliament where he enumerated a number of steps which government was to take in order to address the general situation. I don't need to go through those details because even last week, my senior colleague presented them in this parliament. However, specifically to the issue of the borders, His Excellency the President directed the Prime Minister to form a cabinet subcommittee to look into the issue of the transport by borders generally and the security of the border people, or the border people in particular. That committee is interministerial because the border industry itself, by nature, touches a number of ministries. The Ministry of Transport is involved because it is the one which licenses the various categories of border motorcycles, the tricycles, often what we call now the tukutuku, which are also slowly coming to be part of our transport industry. It also involves the security organs because of the very nature of what we are debating here. It involves the Ministry of Internal Affairs because of the traffic issues, and it involved, in this particular case, in the first instance, Kampala City Authority because of the concentration of many units of the border vehicles in Kampala. Therefore, the Prime Minister's subcommittee of cabinet was constituted of many of these people plus some technical staff and technical experts in the industry, both from the private and the government sector. I'm aware the Prime Minister has had 2 meetings in that committee as the chair. The discussions in that matter have not been concluded. But I'm happy to note that many of the issues which were raised here are being raised in that committee and are being addressed. For example, the issue of grouping the borders in various parts of the cities and the areas where they operate, and giving them specific identities, including reflective number plates and reflective helmets, so that they may be able to be identified wherever they are. We believe that is a very significant step towards identifying who is using the border and from where it is coming, and therefore ensuring that the security of each of them is guaranteed. The same committee is also addressing the issue of setting up, as I've said, colors, but also setting up companies that can administer the administration of these reflective number plates so that they are not copied and there is security tight And because these consultations were not being completed, I'm therefore unable to specifically answer to some of the questions, some of the issues that were raised, but I am sure that many of them will be addressed in this. And therefore it is only prudent that once that committee has done its part and the government has come out with the position of addressing the issue of the border industry, we will come back here and present a comprehensive list of steps in addition to what we've already taken to address the border industry generally, but the security angle in particular. So in principle, we support that motion and we welcome it, and we ask the movers to work together with the government committee, and we shall definitely incorporate them so that we come out with a comprehensive position regarding the issue of the security of the border riders and the border users and the border industry in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Minister, thank you for the response. The Minister agrees with the motion, that the motion should be passed. It should have been passed yesterday. So can we do that? Since debate was finished, move of the motion?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for his report, which is not typed. He has a report that is not typed. So now, last week, Mr. Speaker, statement, yes. Last week, Mr. Speaker, General J.J. Odongo, the Minister of Internal Affairs, made it clear by saying, for them, the line ministries are sitting to discuss, so they're able to come up with a statement, a joint statement, all of them, and he told me 2 weeks. Now, at this stage, I need to be helped on behalf of my people, the border men, and on behalf of the Ugandans. I need to be helped to understand that are we going to take this untyped statement to mean the statement from all the line ministries, so that as we take a decision, because as we take a decision, we are aware. Now, that's number two. Mr. Speaker, we had some prayers, but at the same time, I need guidance from you. I remember the Speaker ruled some time back by saying, after the ministers have responded, then we shall add more prayers. And maybe for that one, I would appeal if we would actually stay the motion on up tomorrow when we shall bring the prayers. But the problem, I'm worried of this statement, which is untyped, which is not official, so I need to be helped. I thank so much.
No, the minister's statement is official, is on the record of Parliament. Honorable members, this motion is urging government to take steps. Not so. To take steps to deal with the issues of security of the border people. No, this one is border, please. Let's not generalize things. This one is specifically on the border riders and users. That is the motion. And the Honorable Minister is saying there are already some steps that have been taken, and Parliament urging them to do it, there would be no conflict. So he agrees that the motion should be passed. Also, it will help them facilitate what they are already doing to come up with this. So do we need to delay this motion? Do we need to delay this motion again? Because when they finish with whatever they are doing and they have done the security issues and dealt with what they have decided should be done to guarantee security of the border riders and other users, then they'll come back to Parliament with that comprehensive thing and be Parliament. So do we need to delay this motion? Can I now put the question, this motion? I'll put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that Parliament by resolution urges government to devise long-term means of stopping the rampant murders and robberies suffered by border raisers. I put the question that this motion be adopted. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, of course, they will extract a copy of this resolution and pass it to you, Honorable Minister. It might facilitate what you are doing to help this process. Thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 8, motion for resolution of Parliament to congratulate Team Uganda and Mission Uganda for their outstanding performances during the Federation of East African Secondary School Sports Association.
I've just received notification from the Honorable Lydia Chekwel that they'll be ready to proceed with this motion tomorrow. There being no other business to handle today, this House stands adjourned to tomorrow, 2 o'clock.